Red lights are on and they go out, and there's a fantastic start by Phil England in the four-wheel drive Subaru. He's got himself up into second place this time, so an even better start than he made to the first race, but it is the BMW of Louis Woodward that leads the race. It's Phil England second, Mark White third, David Russell fourth, Jonathan Candler fifth, and who's that in sixth place? I think it's Kieran Lambourne in sixth position in the BMW 330 as well, as they turn their way through Church Corner for the first time. Then Phil England already has Mark White right behind him. See if White can get ahead before too much longer. And already good battles developing down the order as well. I can see Kieran Lambourne and Jonathan Candler had a great scrap in race one, already getting back together in race two. But there's the fight for second, just about heading into... Oh, and Phil England's outbraked himself, I'm afraid. So he's dropped back from second to fourth. Mark White goes through to P2.
Yes, that's a bit of a shame for Phil, but good news for Mark, really, because if he's going to have any chance of chasing after Louis Woodward, he really did not need to be stuck behind the Subaru for too long. So, yes, managed to get that place back fairly easily. Ooh, bit of side-by-side MX-5 action here at PLS. I'm sure I saw these two side-by-side on the opening lap in the earlier race too. The number 26 car aiming to gain the position. Gareth Moss, who was a non-finisher in race one earlier on today. The white Mark 1 Mazda MX-5 has the inside line for the middle part of the corkscrew complex, and I think will get the place. Yes, he does, just about. Over the number 6 example of Doug Inglis. So Doug Inglis has to give that place away, although actually he's back up the inside again into target corner and will reclaim the position off camera. They're just about to appear in sight. There they are, and it is Doug Inglis back in front. So good little battle between those two, with Doug Inglis managing to hang on to 9th place, but still leading his class, of course, even if Gareth Moss were to find a way through. But Louis Woodward, 1.2 seconds up the road from Mark White at the end of that opening lap. Has Mark White got an answer for him this time?
We'll have to wait and see as this MX-5 battle continues. Moss on the outside line of Inglis. They're in different classes. Inglis is the Class D car, Moss in a Class C car, so power to weight ratio slightly in his favour, and he's ahead now of Inglis as they head up the climb towards Rocket. Just behind them they've got Paul Waterhouse, number 230 in the blue Peugeot 306, and just behind him, well, that'll be the Daewoo. It's Ian Cooper in the Nexia, and he's in 12th place. Luke Arpino 13th at the moment, but this Mazda MX-5 battle still continuing. For the lead, I can tell you that Mark White is going with Louis Woodward this time. The gap only half a second between them, and White on the first flying lap has done the best lap of the race so far, 1:17.810, which is a tenth or so faster than he managed in the first race.
Yeah, well, remember, in the latter stages of race one, Mark White was just creeping back towards Louis Woodward, and at the time we sort of put it down mainly to traffic, but I wonder whether Mark White found something in the end of that race with his driving, his lines, approach to certain corners, whatever it was, and he's now applying that early stages in this race, because look, he's definitely providing more of a threat here to Louis Woodward than he did in race one. Now, equally, Louis may just be pacing himself at the moment. He's done a 1:18.5, which is, I should point out, about 1 3/4 seconds slower than he went in the race earlier on. So there's more pace to be had from Woodward. White is perhaps delivering a bit better than he did early stages in race one, but either way, it's keeping them a lot closer together this time.
It certainly is. Woodward then in this left hooker BMW ahead of Mark White in the right-hand drive Type R, dropping down through the corkscrew again for the third time in this race. Gap back then to David Russell, who's on his own really in the Class C BMW there. Ben McLaughlin, now he started right at the back of the grid. Where is he up to? Trying to spot him on the order. He's up to 14th position now, so he is, yes, he's got stuck into this scrap. Oh, and Mel Highlands had a moment, and one of the other 116 is also involved there. Possibly Highlands going to just pull off onto the grass there, up at Rocket Corner, and possibly leave the car there, which is only just off the circuit. So yes, Ben McLaughlin, he's just behind the Nexia. He's alongside the number 28 Mazda MX-5 as well, for Luke Arpino. Quite a lot of damage to the door there, so I do suggest that the two 116s got themselves together up at Rocket, Andy. And
a tyre off the rim as well, I think, on the right front corner, and the back right didn't look much healthier either, so that's been fairly substantial contact between the two. And Mel Hyland limping back around just in front of the race leaders, I believe now, who are also up at that area of the circuit. Meanwhile, Paul Waterhouse in the Class C Peugeot battling away here with the Daewoo, isn't he? Or just behind the Daewoo anyway, heading up the hill towards the Rocket Complex. And there, the very rapidly driven MGB, the number 72 car that really came on strong in the second half of the earlier race, also becoming a factor in this one, that being Andrew Holmes, who of course was second in Class A in that race earlier on. Townsend there getting squeezed out by one of the 116s at the top of the hill. As, again, this mix of different cars, many of them running across different classes, creates some very close quarters situations up at the Rocket and Peel end of the circuit. Difficult sometimes as a driver actually to identify exactly who you're racing with for position and who is not actually in your class. Meanwhile, a car stopped in, that's Jack Squires, I think.
That's right, Jack Squires, the 32-year-old Royal Navy diver from the Isle of Wight, in his first season of racing, sadly out of the race. So we've got nearly 14 minutes of the race left to go here at Anglesey, the second of two Armed Forces Race Challenge races of the day. There's the 110 car going through. That's Frank Hall in his bereaved Mazda MX-5. We've got two Mazda MX-5s with a hard top on here because we've got Dougie Inglis as well. There's the Jack Squires car in 26th position that has parked up, so he's tumbling down the timer screen now as other drivers make it through. And there's the 14 car. That's Peter McNichol, the 67-year-old from Mablethorpe. The MGB is up on the inside of the Daewoo, and likely combination if ever there was one, but has taken the place. And so that is for 14th position, the MGB, which is now in Class A, recategorised from the programme, is now ahead of the Nexia Podina Astra GTE.
Yep, so good little battle there as they drop down into the corkscrew. Overall race leaders, by the way, just heading up the school straight at the moment. 2.5 seconds now between them, so you're not missing anything at the front of the field. That gap actually starting to creep out now, much as it did really in the middle part of the opening race. Out across the line comes this eclectic mix of cars. Renault Clio, we've got Peugeot 106, the MGB, the Daewoo, and a Mazda MX-5 all in a line. And that Mazda MX-5 at the back of the queue is the number 28 car, isn't it then, which is now joining in the battle. And looking to try and gain a place heading into the banking. Luke Arpino in his Mazda MX-5 that runs in Class D. He was actually on the podium in Race 1 in Class D, second place within his class. Arpino not running, he is running second in class again actually. Richard Phillips, some way behind him, is in third, but looking here to try and gain a bit more ground in the overall running order if he can.
12 minutes of the race left, and Andrew Holmes in the MGB is ahead now of Paul Waterhouse, trying to see if he can climb any more places up the order. The next car ahead of him is, I think, Ben McLaughlin, who's also been on a climb up through the field. So it might be a bit tougher to try and grab onto the back of him. Holmes has done a battle for 124.9, McLaughlin 125.4. So actually Holmes is capable of lapping marginally quicker. So we'll see if he can claw any more ground back before the end of this race. Louis Woodward, meanwhile, is leading by 2.8 seconds now over Mark Wise in second place. So it's 87 from 65, and David Russell, number 12, is in third place, 12 seconds behind the leader, comfortably leading Class C, and Phil England likewise comfortably leading Class A in number 8, fourth place overall. There is a challenge for position. That was Paul Waterhouse being threatened by Ian Cooper, and Luke Arpino right there as well now. So a good little scrap this going on. Arpino trying to take the wide line around the outside of the Nexia of Ian Cooper at the banking, and it seemingly worked for him. So Arpino, number 28, goes up a position. He's on the outside line now, though, for Church Corner, but I think manages to hold on. Paul Waterhouse in the blue Peugeot still ahead of them both. But a great little scrap this between the Daewoo Nexia and the Mazda MX-5. Up towards the left-hander at Rocket goes Luke Arpino, a workshop fabricator in the RAF. Been racing since 2019. He was the AFRC novice winner last year, and he's a cousin of Nick Grindrod, the successful racer in a variety of categories. I think he's done Genettas, I think he's racing pickups, Westfields as well down the years. So racing continues here into the second half of this Armed Force race challenge now. There's Jonathan Candler, and much as he was in race 1, having a good scrap with Kieran Lambourne.
Yeah, this has been the story of the day, really, hasn't it, between these two? They're fighting for second in class as well. Second in class C, that will be. The BMW versus the Peugeot. The BMW a bit too late on the brakes at Rocket, but Candler not ultimately able to get alongside on this occasion. Little Peugeot snapping at the heels of the big BMW. Has he got to run up the inside into Peel? Thinking about it maybe, but Kieran Lambourne gets into the corner first. That's this 5th overall, but as I said, for class podium positions. And Candler keen to try and make the move. And as he drops down through the corkscrew, this perhaps would be a part of the circuit you'd expect the Peugeot to have the edge at. He does get up the inside there through the second part of the corkscrew. Is he still alongside as they arrive at the last corner? The answer is sort of. Tries to get the exit, but no, the BMW with that rear-wheel drive traction able to keep the position. So just under 9 minutes of the race to go, and still Kieran Lambourne retaining 5th position, but Jonathan Candler certainly keeping the pressure on.
Yeah, indeed. So this is for 5th and 6th place. It's for 2nd place within Class C as well. The BMW 330 and the Peugeot 306. Jonathan Candler, 31 years of age, from Tidworth. Kieran Lambourne, 25, from Calne. Candler with several years more experience, though, than Lambourne. He's under threat now as Lambourne from Candler on the run up towards Rocket, but not able to do anything about him at the moment, it would seem. Turning their way through Rocket, the left and then the right hand part of that complex. Out of it they come. Luke Wood was just in the best lap of the race, actually, 1:16.976. Not as quick as he went in race 1 when he did a 1:16.819, but it shows he is getting away now from Mark White to the tune of more than 4 seconds.
Yeah, this was about the point in race 1 where Mark started to reel the leader back in, but there's just no sign of that in this one, is there? Mark White actually steadily starting to fade a little bit. Of course, the Honda Civic front-wheel drive, sometimes those front-wheel drive cars, especially in warmer conditions, can use their tyres up a little bit harder than the rear-wheel drive BMW, for example. Maybe that's playing into it, not so sure. Perhaps something that Kieran Mogg can ask of Mark White after the race, but meanwhile, the Kieran Lambourne and Jonathan Candler battle continues on through the banking. Candler close to the BMW. He has been close to the BMW for much of the day, but just can't find a way past. If he can get a really good run through Church Corner, there could be an opportunity to overtake at the top of the hill, but I'm not convinced he's close enough, Ian.
No, I think you may well be right about that, Andy. Oh, on the grass there briefly was Kieran Lambourne. As he was just passing the number 300 car of Ewan Evans, who's leading the Graduates Championship coming into this weekend. Various bits of bodywork there being run over by the cars as they go through as well. He's also going past the another BMW there as they turn their way through Peel Corner and out towards the corkscrew section of the circuit, with 6.5 minutes of the race left to go. There we've got the Subaru of Phil England. He's in 4th position at the moment, and here is the battle for 5th and 6th. Number 1, Jonathan Candler. Number 113, Paul Chapman. Start again. 7, Kieran Lambourne. 1, Jonathan Candler. Much further back is 113, Paul Chapman. He's about 8 seconds behind them, but this is the battle of the race at the moment.
It is, isn't it? They're the two closest cars really together, battling for position anyway. This, meanwhile, is Phil England, leading in Class A after that terrific start that he had, as you'd expect, really, from, I think, the only four-wheel drive car on the grid, but the gaps all opened up perfectly for him to really capitalise on that. I seem to recall him doing this in one of the races at Alton Park as well, and then really holding his own, actually, once he gained all of those positions. Bear in mind, he started on, I think, the 4th row of the grid, so doing really well to still be sat in 4th position overall, and he's found himself a nice, clear bit of racetrack, just logging some nice, consistent laps that'll serve him well in the points after the race, and also could potentially net him a really good overall result too.
That's right, definitely worth keeping an eye on Phil. He's driving really well here And after the issues on the first lap of the race, he's been pretty untroubled from what we've been able to see. Into the last quarter of the race then, as the Lambourne and Candler battle that was just coming through. England turning his way again in that Army Motorsport car through Target. And appropriate that we have the Armed Forces Race Challenge here at Anglesey Circuit with its military connections, an army base as it was here. We've got RAF Valley just up the road from Anglesey Circuit as well. So plenty of military connections here on the island.
So Phil England continues on his way and is 4.5 minutes away from at least securing one victory for England today. Might be the only one that they get from what I'm hearing, but Phil England is some way ahead of the rest of his class runners. In fact, is one of the only Class A cars really entered into the field. Andrew Holmes, the next nearest in the MGB GT. But this battle continues to rage on. 5th position. Say battle, I mean, as close as Candler gets, he's just not really able to show his nose into any of the obvious overtaking opportunities. This is where he closes every lap, gets a good run off Rocket, but then just no way to really get up the inside into Peel Corner.
No, doesn't seem to be able to do anything about him there, does he? So we are into the closing stages of this race. I mean, outright, Louis Woodward is extending his lead still over Mark White, 6.6 seconds. It now is between those two, and then they're 19 seconds clear, but we've got this battle still going on for 5th place. Kieran Lambourne in the BMW, Jonathan Candler in the Peugeot. It was right at the last lap it was decided by Lapry, wasn't it, in race 1, when they went either side of, I think it was Gemma Barnsdale up at Rocket Corner, and that effectively decided the first race in favour of Jonathan Candler. I wonder if we're going to see something similar here in the closing stage of the race. I'm sure there'll be some more traffic to come into play before too much longer. They're just rounding Church Corner now. There are certainly slower cars up ahead of them, but there's not much to choose between these two. Less than 3 minutes to go now, as I'm watching Mike Nash just go past my commentary box window. He's doing battle with Doug Inglis for position. It's the final place inside the top 10 as well. Inglis looking good for another Class D victory here. Out of Rocket towards Peel they will head, and then we'll watch them drop back down towards the end of the lap. Here's Phil England again, and he's been lapping some more back markers since we last saw him in that yellow Subaru, the number 8 car for the 45-year-old project manager from Louth. 2-litre turbo engine in that 1997 car. He had it initially as a road car. Did some sprints in it as well.
Doug Inglis, by the way, did eventually get past Mike Nash, not at the first corner, but up at Rocket in the end. He almost got it done at turn 1, but Mike Nash able to fend him off until they got to the top of the hill. Is that where maybe Jonathan Candler might be able to make his move? There's a back marker ahead. Well, this was certainly something that benefited him in the closing stages of the earlier race. And is it going to be the same case now in race number 2 then? Up the hill they go. They're both going to sweep to the inside of that particular BMW 116 though, and Jonathan Candler not really close enough, I don't think, to make his move yet. Through the left, through the right, minute and a quarter to go. Now the leader is on the back straight. We're going to get another lap after this one. Here comes Candler though with that good exit from Rocket. He's on the inside into Peel Corner, and this is the one part of the circuit where he seems to have the edge over the BMW, and he makes it count. Jonathan Candler going through then, and finally, after lap after lap after lap of trying, he's found a way past Kieran Lambourne into 5th place overall and 2nd in the class. Yeah, it's not taken the direct intervention of a back mark to achieve that this time, so he's dropped it back down through the corkscrew again, and he is going to start his penultimate lap of the race. Now, as Andy says, we're going to get one more lap to go at the end of the one that the leader has started. Actually, he's almost at the end of now. He's heading down through the corkscrew himself, is Louis Woodward in that number 87 BMW, and he is about to see the last lap board. That is shown to him now. So Louis Woodward goes on to his final lap of the race, and he's well in control of this now. Mark White in 2nd place. I think he's realised that the race is up. He's not really been able to challenge
for outright position. He's still 6 seconds behind in this race. And as you can see, Jonathan Candler now has got ahead of Kieran Lambourne. He has put several lengths between the two of them.
Yes, he has. Up the hill then, we head once again into the closing stages of the race. Louis Woodward is on his way to victory, it would seem. Out of the corner of my eye, I just saw a massive group of cars going through Rocket just ahead of this particular BMW 116. I think they all survived that, but they were 3 abreast at the apex, which was pretty entertaining to see, even from a distance. This was the group that I was watching, and yeah, they're all still there, I think. Is that Kieran Lambourne in that group? Maybe. I think it might have been. But anyway, Louis Woodward not having to face the late challenge from Mark White that it looked like he might have to in the earlier race, and instead well on his way to another comfortable victory.
Yeah, so out of Peel he goes, down through the corkscrew. He will come left and then right and then left, back onto the start and finish straight. Short straight though it is. And checker flag is made ready. And oh, he spun it!
Oh,
he spun coming out of the final corner and he's crashed into the pit wall. That's unbelievable. Can he get to the line first? Mark White's coming out of the final corner, up to the line to go.
Oh.
And Mark White wins the Armed Forces Race Challenge with a dramatic spin for Louis Woodward into the pit wall at the final corner as he got it going again. And it was a drag race. And Mark White did it by half a second.
That is unbelievable. He had it in the bag. He was 6 seconds up the road from anybody else and threw it away at the last corner. Mark White, as Mark White came out of that final corner, he would not have believed what he was seeing. That is truly remarkable.
No, that's one way to throw a race, isn't it?
And that shiny new BMW that he had as well. And I don't think it's quite as shiny now as it was at the start of the day.
I think at least the part of the pit wall he hit was protected by tyres rather than the concrete barrier itself. Anyway, Mark White's won that race, number 65. From number 87, Louis Woodward in second. Dave Russell, number 12 in third. 8, Phil England was fourth. Then Jonathan Candler, fifth. And Kieran Lambourne sixth. They're still coming over the line. Yes, there they go. Jonathan Candler and Kieran Lambourne, none of them have driven into the pit wall. And Paul Chapman, I think, is going to be the last car home in 7th place in a moment or two. Here he comes now in his Clio. But yeah, that's not what we were expecting there, was it? Not at all.
I mean, I'm not going to say I've never seen it before. It has been known, hasn't it? But very rarely do you see a driver throw a win away like that. And Louis Woodward was displayed already this weekend. What a talented driver he is. But maybe a momentary lapse of concentration. I have noticed that car getting a bit sideways off the last corner, off that curb on the inside. And yeah, on the final lap, he must have thought that the race was his. But by half a second in the end, Mark White able to get to the line. And that must have been so frustrating for Louis. Not only had he made the mistake, but of course he can't see what's coming round the corner. So what he wanted, I'm sure, just to gun it and get going again. But the last thing he wanted to do was rejoin in the path of another car. And yeah, in the end, hesitated for half a second too long. What a truly remarkable turn of events.
It certainly was. It livened up the end of that race. That's for certain. Class winners, David Russell, Phil England, Doug Inglis. I mean, that's a regular roll call of class winners. And Mark White as well. Reinstated. He was beaten for the first time earlier on today by Louis Woodward, but back to winning ways. All is restored to normality in the world of the Armed Forces Race Challenge. Cars are heading into Parc Fermé. The Armed Forces Race Challenge will continue. They have a couple more rounds of their championship to go. I think it's Snetterton for their next event. Let's have a look at the result though. Mark White, number 65, was the winner at the end of 16 laps by 0.546 seconds over number 87, Louis Woodward in second place. Third place went the way of number 12, David Russell. Fourth, number 8, Phil England. In fifth position, number 1, Jonathan Candler. Sixth, number 7, Kieran Lambourne. Seventh to 113, Paul Chapman. And then that graphic is incorrect because 8th was number 22, Paul Mellor. 9th was number 26, Gareth Moss. 10th was number 6, Doug Inglis. 11th, number 48, Mike Nash. Then 12th, 96, Ben McLaughlin. Andrew Holmes and Luke Arpino completing the top 14. Winners there were White and Russell and England, and not Trevor Hancock, but in fact Dougie Inglis, number 6 in 10th place. And there you can see some other finishers further down the order. The next year ahead of the Peugeot in the battle that they were having. Richard Phillips, the best of the 116s. I think he's not an entrant in the Graduate Cup though, so I think the win in that went elsewhere. So that's the Armed Forces Race Challenge. We've enjoyed that. We have Kieran Mogg ready in Parc Fermé, and he will be speaking to our winning driver.
Thanks, guys. I don't really know where to start with that one. That's Mark White's the winner, so we'll go and chat with Mark White. So, Mark, if I could just jump in here a second. What a finish!
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay. So, firstly, the commentators were talking about how you were dropping off during the race, and they did want me to ask you, were the tyres sort of overheating a little bit?
Yeah, there's a little bit of understeer from the middle of the race towards the end there. Haven't really had an opportunity to do much testing, but I made some changes. It was the same in race 1, made a few changes. It was definitely better, but it did creep in towards the middle, towards the end. Hey, we did all right, you know. I think it's a P1. I did overtake before the checkered flag. He was sideways across just in front of the line, so not really how I wanted to win it, but a win's a win, right?
It was half a second the gap between the two of you. You in front, yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Yeah, happy with that. Win's a win, right?
What a way to end the day.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Cheers,
now
buddy.
let's speak to our next class winner. So David, another class win from 2 races. How was it out there?
It was all right. It felt a bit slower in race 2 for some reason. Whether it was just me, who knows? Couldn't get the same sort of pace going. Chalky and Louis were off in the distance, so it was just trying to go around the back markers without getting in their way. But yeah, it was a good race all in all.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations on the class win anyway. It was pretty hectic out there.
I heard it was a really good finish as well. I heard it was
Yeah,
close on the
he
line.
crashed into the pit wall as he came around the last corner.
No way. Is he all right?
Yeah, he's okay. The car's a little bit crashed up on the front right.
All right. Okay. Well, I'm sure Chalky will take it either way. All right.
Yeah, absolutely. Congratulations.
See you.
Cheers. So we'll next talk to Phil England, who is over there. So Phil, another class win, and the only Class A car to be up with at the front towards the front boys anyway. How was it out there?
Yeah, it's good. Got a good start, so I was into second, and then overcooked at a rocket twice, and then I couldn't keep with the top 3. But yeah, it was all right. The car's performing well, so yeah, pleased with that.
Good. And one thing I do want to ask as well is obviously Anglesey is quite a technical circuit, and this is a 4-wheel drive car, and a lot of these guys are 2-wheel drive. Are you noticing a big difference in the way that they are handling corners compared to you?
Yeah, well, I think you can take some different lines. So when you're getting past some of the slower cars, you can, go up the inside or just square corners off. Or you can get away with a lot more.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations on the class win anyway.
Thanks very much. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you very much. Anyway, we're going to a quick ad break, and then we've got one more race coming up. We'll see you in a second.